In this session, we're going to talk about how to create a furniture and casework plan. In addition, we're going to add some floor finishes for our project as well. To start off, we have two JPEGs that are uploaded on session 12 on Canvas. That is the 3FL plan casework and 4FL plan or PL furniture. We're going to link those two JPEGs into our file the same way we've linked in the previous two JPEGs from session 11s, and then we're going to scale them, and then we're going to basically repeat the geometry configuration that's there. We'll start off by going to AutoCAD and opening up our file from last week, and that is the module 11. We had the floor plan completed, and we're going to insert the two JPEGs in here. So if you remember, the command was attach, and you'll navigate to the two images that you're going to download. So we'll start off with the casework and then click on open. Again, we're not really concerned about whether this is a full path or a relative path because we're getting rid of the image as soon as we're completed with it in this session. Click on OK, and now it's asking you where you want to place it. So I'll place it somewhere on the right of my project in here. It came in a little bit too big, so I can just grab it to select it and then click on one of these blue dots to make it smaller. Okay, came out very big. And just make it small enough so that it's somewhat close to the scale of your project, and use the move command, that's M, return, and get it a little bit closer to your building in here. And we'll repeat the same for the next object. So let's do that. Attach one more time. And we'll bring in the furniture. Click on open. Okay. And click and release. And here's the second one. So let's look closer and see what these two JPEGs have to offer us, what kind of information. Basically, all the dimensions that we see on here is the dimensions that we've created in the last session. These are all the partition plan or construction plan dimensions. On top of it, we are seeing some casework. Generally, a floor plan or construction plan will have anything that's built in as part of the construction plans. So in this particular case, this hot tub with the bath and the shower and the kitchen cabinets and location of the sink and stove are all built in. They're not movable pieces of furniture. Therefore, they belong on this type of plan, which is the construction plan. And then we're going to generate a new plan that has the casework built in as well as the furniture pieces, the movable, and we're going to type in roughly the size of these pieces of furniture rather than dimensioning them. So in other words, we need to complete our construction plan by adding in all this information in here. So to do that, let's select both images and let's change the fade on them like we did last time to somewhere around 50%. And the information that I need to trace over from here after I scale this, of course, would be to get the approximate size of the tub, trace over the information for the bathroom as well as the kitchen. So let's start by scaling this drawing. So we'll select it first and then SC for scale. And we're going to choose a reference. So I have an 18-foot reference here. I can choose this point right here as my base point. Type in R, enter for reference. Then I'll choose the same point again. And from this point to this one, I'm going to type in 18 feet. And that should scale it appropriately. Let's double check this dimension by measuring another piece. So I'll go and double check that from this line to this line is 3 feet. DI, click, Click, and it's roughly about 3 feet, give or take. So it looks like we're in a good shape here. We'll start by tracing some of these blocks. So if I have a sink in here, I can draw a rectangle and 2 ellipses, and I'll do the same thing for the toilet, and then I can turn these into a block and take them to my actual floor plan. So let's create the layers that we need before we start creating geometry. We'll open up the Layers Manager, create a new layer, and we'll call this one, since we're dealing with plumbing fixture, it'll be P for plumbing, dash FIX for fixture. So this is anything related to plumbing. While I'm here, I can create a few other ones. I'll go to create a new layer, and we'll use A, casework, and this will be related to anything that's a built-in. And then another one for A, FURN, short for furniture, and that is anything that is movable. I'll activate the layer that I want. In this case, I'm starting off with the sink, so that's going to be A, casework. Rectangle. This is the countertop, that's the casework portion. And then for the actual sink, that is the plumbing fixture. So that's when I need to switch to my plumbing, P-fix, and then draw my ellipse in here. To create an ellipse, the command is EL for ellipse, and then hit enter. And the way the ellipse work is that you would pick 2 points, and then you're going to move the cursor around until you get the rough egg shape that you're looking for. So I'm going to start with the outer one. I'll click somewhere out here, and then the other point will be directly across from it. And then I can move the cursor towards the center, and we'll make it narrower, and further apart, we'll make it wider. So I'm going to try to guess approximately where my sink is below, right there, and I will click. And then we're going to use the offset tool, probably use 2 inches. Let's see how big that is. Looks like 2 inches is a little bit too big. We'll try 1 inch, and that looks just about right. Okay. We can go ahead and add a few colors in here so that we can be aware of the layers that we're using. And since I already set up my CTB, perhaps I can try to match some of these colors if I want, or I can give them their unique colors and then go back to my CTB and assign the line weight there. We'll do it that way. So we'll go into the plumbing fixtures. We can probably assign one of these colors. I'll assign 70. And then for the A furniture, I'm going to assign 71. So I can just type here 71. If I want to stay in that green tone. But if I wanted something completely different that I can distinct between 2 different objects, maybe I'll go in and do one of these colors, 200. And then A casework, we need to switch that from white to 234. And you can choose whatever color that is you prefer. Okay, we'll get down here, and basically if these 2 are done, I can take them and create a block from them, or I can keep them separated. Usually if there are 2 different unique layers, I don't tend to block them. This I should block so that it can behave as one object. However, I should not be blocking these 2 together. But in many cases, you will see them blocked together depending on the person who created the geometry. So let's finalize the sink by turning this into a block. So we're going to select the 2 ellipses and type in block. We'll describe it by giving it a name, bath, sink. And now this is one object and behaves as one object. We can repeat the same concept in here, type in ellipse one more time. we'll click this point to this point, and then draw a rectangle. And then make sure that these two are under the correct layer, and then turn them into a block. And now these two are one object. We can select them both and move them. And we'll choose this corner here, go into our bathroom and align it to this corner in here. And there you go. And like I said, if you have a chance to clear overlaps, please do so. So we'll move this dimension over so that it clears this overlap. It might grab another overlap, but whichever one looks neater. And we'll take this one and try to do the same thing as well. So the idea is to repeat what I just did for the sink, for the kitchen, the range, as well as the cabinets and the fridge. And then create this tub in here as well. And that would complete our construction plan that we started last week. And then we can start creating our furniture as well. Now, this is very basic, very simple layout of furniture. You can download blocks and use them. You don't have to trace them and create them the way I just did. If you're interested, there is a really good website called cad-blocks.net. And in here, when you first log into cadblocks.net, you can choose the category. If you're looking for furniture, bathroom, vegetation, this is more for exterior. You can add people, doors, and a whole bunch of other stuff in here. And we use those instead of creating from scratch. Let's try to see what's in kitchen, for instance. We can click on this. If we're looking for sinks, we can click on sinks. And you can see a huge variety of sinks in here. And you scroll down here where it says download CAD blocks. That's what you're looking for. And when the zip file opens, you basically want to extract the CAD file from the zip. I'm not sure how it works on a Mac exactly, but for a Windows, you can double click the zip file, select this file in here, and then just drag it onto your desktop or another folder, and that automatically extracts it and it's ready to use. You should be able to see .dwg. If you have a Mac and you need to unzip a folder, just take a look at some programs, free programs out there that allow you to unzip a folder. We can now take this and open it, and this will open up an AutoCAD file that has all these blocks. So if I'm interested in grabbing this sink, I can click on the sink, Control-C to copy it, go back to my drawing, and then Control-V to paste it. And you'll notice that the scale is always completely off, almost always. And also the layer that it belongs on, it's on layer 0. So there is a little bit of work that we have to do. It might be faster because I don't have to trace, but it also requires me to do a little bit more work for scaling and editing the layers. So to scale this is SC, and then I can grab this point and then R for reference, and then tell AutoCAD from here to here how big I want it, okay? And I can probably overlay this with this sink here. If you want to make your kitchen longer, feel free to do so. It's kind of, think of it more as a design project. You don't have to mimic everything that we are doing here, but the overall outcome needs to be just as comprehensive. We'll try scale one more time. SC enter, grab this point, reference from here to here. If I want to make it the same exact size, I would stop it somewhere here, but I can try to make it a little bit larger if I want. There you go. And now that it's about the same size, I can move it and use this corner as my reference, and then go back in here and use this corner as my reference. And it will land in the same exact location. Now, just to make things a little bit more neater, I like to line up the back of the sink to here. Although in real life, it might not be lining up exactly, but when you print this, you won't see two lines very close together. It depends on the scale that we're printing at. And last is to put this on the appropriate layer. Now, the instinct is to click on it and then go in here and turn it into a plumbing fixture, and I'm good to go. Okay? If we double click on this, or if you click on it and right click and choose to edit the block in place, so now I'm going to open this block itself. Everything gets grayed out. I'm inside the block. I can actually choose each one of these lines individually. The lines themselves are under layer 0, and that's when you can start having discrepancy between what actually gets printed versus the layer that it belongs. So I always make it a habit, and so should you, that your lines within your blocks should always match the actual layer that they're going to print on. I'm going to select all this line work in here. Instead of layer 0, I'm going to assign it to a plumbing fixture. And then when I'm done, on the top right in here, I should see an icon when I can choose the edit reference and choose save changes. Click OK. And this will take you back to the drawing where you can select the entire sink as a block. You can repeat the process to download all the furniture and different types of casework, or you can choose to use the tracing tool where you can draw a rectangle, and perhaps we'll add a small little handle for this fridge in here. And then turn this into a block. You can create a new layer for equipment. There'll be a equipment. EQ IP. And move this over back to your drawing in here. Either method works, whichever you prefer. Let's try to place this hot tub in here. It looks like I'm going from the inside of the wall, I'm going straight out, and then about a 45-degree, and then across. Okay, so I have this dimension already across because my notch in the wall is accounting for that. I just need to know how high I'm going from both directions. So if I draw a line, let's go to a plumbing fixture. I'll draw a line that's going to go from the edge of the wall across. And this one's probably 45 degrees. So I'll wait for the snap. This says 45 degrees somewhere here. And then I need to go straight up. Okay. So now that I have these two references here, I can take them. I will copy them and go to this corner in here and match it with this corner here. I'll extend this line to the edge. And now I need to bring in a line that goes directly up. And I can use the fillet command to fillet these two together. So this gives me the outer boundary for my tub. The inner boundary, if we take a dimension, DI, from here to here, it looks like about an offset of about 4 inches, so a little bit over 4 inches. So I can do that by offsetting these boundaries in here 4 inches, okay? But I never continued with my A plumbing fixture outline for this particular drawing, okay? So I need to click on this line, bring it all the way to the corner, draw another line from here to here, and then continue that line this way. Okay, that is the overall tub. And another thing I should definitely do is don't just keep drawing lines in there. You want to turn things into a block so you're able to control them easily. So I'll select these lines I just created, and I'm going to move them back out. I'll do the offset, and then I'm going to turn it into a block. So use the offset command, 4 inches. Click, 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 and then move towards the direction you want to offset. Click, and then finalize the last one here. I can use the fillet command, but if you notice with the fillets in here, they are curved. They're not just straight. So in the fillet command, if you type in F, enter, you can actually assign a radius. Type in R, enter, after you activate the fillet. Give it a radius. So we can try this one by a 2-inch radius. 2, enter. Click on the 2 lines, and you'll notice that it gives you a small curve rather than giving you a straight edge. It remembers the last command, so if I type in F, enter, or just a space bar again, the radius is still active. So if I click on this and this, it remembers that the last time had a 2-inch radius. Hey, space one more time, click, click, and repeat this 2 more times until you complete all edges. Now that it's all done, I can select everything and turn this into a block. And I can grab it and move it back again to my original location in here. And that completes my tub. I can repeat the same process for this shower in here. So I can use this time a command called polyline. If you remember from the previous sessions, this will give me a continuous loop rather than individual lines. Click, 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 snap onto the 45. But I want to make sure I end right parallel to this point. So what I'm going to do is hover over this point here and then move straight up so I can get that extension line. And then watch my degrees on the right when it snaps to the 135 degrees right there. Then I can click. And then for the last one, I can choose C space, that's to close, C space. And that will be one continuous boundary for the stub. And then I can offset this. So O, enter, and I can measure the distance from here to here. Enter. Try that one more time. Offset. The distance is going to be from here to here, which is about 2 inches. Then click on the boundary and move in the direction you want to offset. Enter. And if we want to make this also filleted the same way this one is, you want to click on this guy, explode it, and then use the fillet command, and it still memorized the 2 inches, so I can just click here and there, here and there, and repeat at all corners. Now I can select these objects and block. Give it a name, and then when you're done, move it back to our actual plan. There's a few other elements in here. This is some sort of a casework cabinet, so I can swap back to the casework layer, draw a rectangle, and then I can move this rectangle to my plan. So this completes the casework and plumbing fixture portion of this lesson, the only thing I need to do next is give it a name and basically allocate what these things are. But I won't do that just yet. We will do this once we realize or identify which layer we want this to appear in. Okay, so now we got to start thinking about the different types of drawings, and do I want to create additional layers so I can turn on and off certain ones depending on what my interest in the geometry that I want to display. For instance, if we go to the construction plan, in the construction plan, it basically shows exactly what I need in here. I don't need to put in a description that says this is a sink or this is a range. I may want to display that this is a tub, okay? And this one is a shower, right? An in-place shower. But other than that, I don't really need to add anything additional to this construction plan. Now, when it comes to the furniture plan, we may want to add these additional text notes in here. But notice how there's no description for tub in here because it's already being described in the construction plan. So that means I need an additional layer that I can create this geometry on that is different from the layer that I'm going to create the information for tub on. Also a different layer than the dimension because in here we don't have any dimensions. So let's go back into this plan. We have this layer here. If we click on the ANODIM, that's for dimensions, and that I can control by turning on and off. So the difference between the construction plan, and we can look at this as basically the construction plan right here, and then this one as the furniture and casework plan. I'll be able to turn on and off the dimensions, no problem. Now, I need a layer for the text that I can add the room names, and the same layers, I can choose whether I want it to be on or off for here. Okay, so let's take a look at our list. We have ANO room tag. So if we turn on ANO room tag, and we are going to create a room tag in here. So we'll start by typing M text, enter. Click to release the first corner and draw a rectangle where you would want to write the name of the room. So this one's going to be living room, all caps, living room. And here is the actual text size in here, okay? We don't want to use annotated, we want to use the standard. I think we played around with the standard last time. So we'll choose standard, and we can take off annotated. We don't want this to be on, make sure it's off. So that was very small, 3/16 of an inch. If you zoom in, you'll actually see it. So you might want to make it a little bit bigger. So we'll zoom in here and double click to activate it one more time. And let's give this perhaps 2.5 inches, and let's see how big this is. Even that is still very small. Maybe we can bump it up to 5 inches. Type in 5, enter. That's 5 inches. That looks like about a decent size. And I can copy this into the different areas in my space. So I have kitchen, I have bath, and this is going to be a closet. Double click to activate the text. Then you can select the text, hit delete, and type in kitchen. Here will be bath. Remember to try to clear the overlaps as much as possible. And this will be a closet or storage. And that takes care of your ANO room tags. So now I also need another type of text or layer that will describe the tub and the shower in here, or any kind of geometry that is not self-explanatory. This is clear that it's a sink with a countertop. This is a toilet. This one, maybe not. This one, it looks just like a rectangle. And this, without the word tub, it's kind of difficult to describe what it is. So I need another layer in here just for that kind of text. So let's open up the layer property, and we'll create a new one. And this will be called A. It is anno for annotations. And then we can call this one, it's going to be construction plan text, right? So maybe we'll type in construction plan, PL. And then I'll do another one that's going to be A, anno. And this one will be floor, the finish plan or casework furniture plan, furniture PL. All right. We need a smaller text. This one is more dominant because it's the actual name of the room. This one could be the 2.5 inch one. So M text, make sure you're on the correct layer. I'm under A, anno, and I'm looking for the construction plan. And I'm going to type in M text, draw my rectangle, and hot tub. And this one, I'm going to assign the text to be the 2.5 inches. That was a good size. And I can copy this one over in here. And this one will be shower. And I can take this one, copy it over to this one right here, and rotate it 90 degrees. So click on the object, RO, enter. I'll click somewhere on the edge in here and just rotate this till it snaps to 90 degrees. Double click inside, and we'll type in this one as cabinet. And move it so it's somewhere in the center of this object. Now everything is clear and self-explanatory. So this one finalizes our construction plan. Okay? We take a look at the construction plan in here. Everything looks nice and beautiful. We just have to make sure that the line weights of these new layers that we created is printing as intended. Now, for this guy, we're done with, so I can select it and just get rid of it. Now we have this object in here. We need to trace or download a few furniture pieces that we can place in here. Now, notice that any type of text that you're going to create is going to be under a new type of floor plan. It's going to be for furniture and finish. So make sure that we are using the anno furniture plan. This will allow us to go into these viewports in here and turn off the layers of the information that we don't want to display. So let's take a look of how I would approach this. We'll start off with this table in here. We'll go to the appropriate layer, A, Fern. Draw a rectangle for this table. This says it's 30 by 36. It's clear that it's 36 wide, 30 inches deep. So remember, this is not scaled yet, so I might want to scale it before I start tracing over it. But now that I have a dimension, I can draw a rectangle, type in D for dimension. I'll type in 36 by 30, and then click to release. This is my table in here. Now, I need to write in a text that's going to describe the 30 by 36, and this size is very good. So I can just select this one and copy it. And I want to make sure that I take this guy and put it under, rather than the anno construction plan, this is for the furniture plan. And I will double click in here and type in 36 by 30. And if I want to type in table, we can do so as well. So table, and center it. And put this right on my center of my table. For the lack of confusion, I'm going to go and turn the color for the anno text to also purple, somewhere in the purple family. So under A, Anno, text for the furniture plan. I'll turn this one also a shade of purple. Okay, so now it's clear. Now the idea here is that if I can go to my construction plan, in my construction plan, I do not want to see any furniture or anything related to the furniture annotation either. So I can do something called layer freeze. I can double click inside to activate my viewport. I am under my construction plan. And if you type in layer freeze, that's L-A-Y-F-R-Z, lay freeze, L-A-Y-F-R-Z. There's also an icon up here that talks about layer freeze, all right? Don't confuse it with the thaw layers. It's this one right here, freeze. Has a little star on it, looks like a snowflake, hence freeze. So if you click on lay freeze or type in lay freeze, and you click on the layer that you want to freeze, and say yes, what you're doing is you're not turning off the layers, you're just turning them off in this particular viewport. When we go to any other viewport, or in the main model, those layers are going to be on. They're not going to be off. Okay, so once you're done, hit escape twice, double click outside the viewport, and if you go to the model space, the layer is still on. If you go to any other viewport, that layer is going to be on as well. Okay, here it is. It's just off in this plan, and that's it. So we never need to worry about any geometry that is going under the furniture or the annotations related to furniture. We don't need to worry about them being turned on in this particular viewport. Our construction plan is officially done. Now, let's go to the furniture plan and set this up. So the scale that we used in here for this plan was 3/8 of an inch equals a foot. I'm going to go back into the furniture and finish layout. I'll make this viewport very big. And we need to double click inside to set the scale. And I want to move down to 3/8 of an inch equals a foot and put it somewhere up here. Double click outside, and that finalizes setting up this viewport. Now, we want to turn off the grids because it's very distracting. We also want to lock the scale so we don't accidentally change it later on. If you double click back in again, you can turn off the grid in here. And you want to hit that lock button right here. So it turns blue. This means if you zoom in and out, you're not really changing the scale of the drawing. On the furniture plan, you'll notice that the sample here doesn't have any dimensions. So now I can go to my furniture plan layout, double click inside, and I can use the freeze command, lay freeze, and freeze the dimensions, and that will take care of that. If I don't want to see this hot tub and shower, since they're on a different layer than these and these, I can click on them and that will freeze that as well, while I'm still maintaining the remaining of my geometry. Okay? Now this is ready to be plotted. I just need to create the remaining of my furniture pieces. So you can go ahead and repeat the process again into scaling this drawing and trace all the objects and turning them into blocks and then moving them over here. Or you can investigate by going to the cadblocks.net. And let's take a look at some of the furniture blocks that they have in here. And download some of them that I can use them. Just make sure you're using the ones for plans. I see some beds in here and some sofas. So we can download one of these, and I'll go over the process one more time. Be careful with all these ads that you see here that asks you to download other programs. You want to look for the part where it says download CAD blocks. Okay? Once you download it, you're going to open up that folder. And you're going to open up and drag it onto your desktop if you have a Windows. You can try to do that with a Mac as well, see if that works for you. And then double click to open it. If I want to choose something like this, and I'll copy it, go back to my drawing in here, Control V to paste it, significantly larger. The bed is about 84 inches high, so I can select this scale and ask it from this point, reference, then this point again, to this point, to be 84 inches. And now I can take it and move it back into here and place it on my drawing. But before I place it in there, remember again, I cannot stress to you how much you have to take this guy and turn it into the appropriate layer, a furniture, and you should click on it, right click, edit the block in place, click OK, select the geometry, and add all these lines under the appropriate layer as well. A furniture, and then you're going to go to the edit reference and save changes. Click yes, and now you're ready to move this element or this block into your drawing. And I'll center it right on my window in here. Now, because this is under the appropriate layer, a furniture, it should not appear under the construction plan, and it should appear in here. And you want to take these dimensions, verify that the width is 54, because we know that the height is 84. From here to here is about 4'8", so that's 48 inches plus 8, which is 56. Okay, so I'll take this text note, copy, and double click in here to edit this bed. And this will be, the width always goes first. It's the standard. So it's going to be 56 by 84. And we're going to repeat this for the remaining of the other elements, for chairs, for the sofa, for the coffee tables, as well as the table outside with the patio. And this will complete our session for furniture plan. For your homework assignment, I would like you to upload both PDFs for number 11 construction plan, now that it's updated and it has new geometry in it, as well as the number 12 furniture and finish plan. After completing your furniture layout, we want to add a small hatch that can indicate the finishes on the floor. Now, this could be done in two different ways. One, we can hatch the entire region, or we can hatch a portion. When you try to hatch the entire region, AutoCAD tries to go around all the geometry to give you that appearance of a floor finish. So it might take a significant amount of time, and it may also crash your file. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you save, and then we want to just use approach number 1, which is creating a small area in which we can indicate the finish in. So we'll do this for the patio in here. We can draw like a spline in here, and we'll hatch that area, and that will indicate what the finish is for the entire deck. So we'll do this by typing SPL for spline. And then I'm going to go somewhere outside my project in here and just basically draw a spline that will go from one end to the other end, and then hit space to complete the spline command. And if I want to make this a little bit larger, you can play around with it and adjust it a little bit. You want it to look more organic so it does not get confused with the pattern. And you want to trim these two edges here. And in this area, we're going to hatch, and that will indicate the finish for the deck. We're always going to have the finish of the deck turned on under the furniture plan, but not so much for the construction plan. So we cannot use the A-wall pattern layer. We're going to go ahead and create a new layer that's going to be called A-floor pattern. And we'll choose the same line weight that we chose for the A-wall pattern. That was 253. And we can take this line and put it under the A-wall pattern. And repeat the same one on the other end. So I'll activate that command or that layer. SPL is for spline, and I'll choose somewhere outside my deck in here, and I'll try to repeat the same thing. And when I finish, hit enter to release the spline, and use the trim to trim back to this edge here. Okay. Sometimes it's cleaner if you start from the wall out versus from the railing in. Either or, I mean, there's no actual standard. Do it and see which one looks nicer, which one you prefer. Then we're going to activate the hatch command. That's H return. And we're going to select what the pattern is. So we're not going to create any custom patterns, but we're looking to see something that could look nice in this area. So for exterior, we're looking for some sort of wood hatch that would represent decking. So this one is a good one. It's called Dolmet. And we'll click inside this area here. And it's analyzing, give it time. And we'll go in here and click. And when you're done, hit escape twice. And then we'll change the scale for something to be a little bit larger because this is too small. The key for a hatch is the area must be enclosed. That's why we went and surpassed our railing on this end, and then we snapped to this corner. So I'll click on the hatch and I'll go to the pattern properties in here. If this is not open, you can right click on the hatch and choose properties. And you will go to the scale, and let's switch this to perhaps 10. And let's measure this. We want to have like 6-inch planks or so from here to here. Right now it's measured around almost 3. So if we want to switch this to perhaps 20. This will be a little bit more appropriate scaling for this. And if you want to rotate the plank, you can click on this and rotate the hatch by choosing the angle to be 90 degrees. And this will show you orientation of the wood planks in here. And we'll do the same thing for the inside of the building in here. So the bathroom, we want some sort of tile. So that's a good corner to do this in is probably right around here. So SPL. Hatch. And let's look for a tile pattern. I'll use this honey. Hit escape twice once you click to choose the area, and then let's switch the scale to perhaps 20 as well. Now, if you're going to switch materials between the kitchen and the living room, we need to decide where that's going to happen. So let's say I want to have tile all the way to the tub. Then I would create a line under the A-wall, the A floor pattern. I think I've placed all my hatches under the wrong layer. So let's make sure that All of them are under a floor pattern, not a wall pattern. So a floor pattern, and I'll draw a line that's going to say, all right, from here to here is all going to be tile. Might want to move my bed now so that it doesn't cross over the tile. Perfect. And here I can choose the spline again. Don't forget and hit the escape before you hit the space bar. Otherwise you lose your spline. Make sure you hit space. And then we'll do another one on this side for the finishes of the living room. Let's go ahead and trim this and clean it up. Now we're going to go and find a hatch. If you're planning on doing some sort of carpeting, hound is nice for carpeting. Looks like 20 scale works very well for us. That'll be carpet. And we can do another one in here. We'll find a different type of tile. We can use the net, square tiles, and switch the scale also to 20. 20 is a little bit too small in this case. I'll try 40 or even 80 because it's a large space. You want to have nice large tiles in here. You could go the extra mile and type in a text note in here that explains what the finish is. This would say wood, 4-inch plank. This one would say carpet tile, 2 feet by 2 feet, honey tile, and tile, and then you put in the dimension in here if you want. You can go back to the construction plan and make sure you freeze that layer in here. We do not want to see the finishes under the construction plan. You only want to see them under the furniture plan. There you go. The last step, but not least, is to print this. We want to make sure that we assign the appropriate line weights for everything that we've just created. If we're happy with the line weight for the text, we basically used yellow for text in the last session. So we can go ahead and assign the same line weight for all the different texts in here. Okay. So if we're not sure, we're going to go to layer properties and we're going to look for ANODIM. And ANODIM was the color yellow, and room tag is also yellow. So we can take a look at what that line weight is. Okay, so we'll do just a print test as is. I'm using the MOD 11 to 14. That's the name of the plot style that I created last session. We'll go into the furniture plan and we're going to print this to take a look at a sample. Go to print preview, Control P. The line weight for my floor finish is perfect because that is what I set for the A-wall pattern last time. So I'm happy with that. It looks like my equipment is kind of competing right now. It's the same line weight as the windows, so I want to make sure they are lighter than that. Remember that walls are always the darkest, and then we were happy with the way windows and doors were and the swing. Just to a kind of a relationship, the casework needs to be slightly darker than the swing, and the equipment or the fixture in here needs to be lighter than the actual casework. So based on this relationship that I have here, I can make the equipment and fixtures slightly darker than that swing, as well as my furniture. And then I want to make the casework slightly lighter than what it currently is. Okay, a good line weight would probably be the same as glazing. It would match glazing in here. This is a good thickness. All right, so let's go and identify all these line weights. Escape and escape. Red is the color that I choose for my door panel, and I'm interested in the swing. The swing is using this orange tone. Let's find out the exact color. And it's color number 20. So when I go to plot, Control P, and I go to modify my CTB settings, I want to look at color number 20 and see what line weights I assigned. So I assigned 0, 0 for color number 20. That is the lightest it can be. And I want to make my furniture and my casework and equipment slightly darker. So I need to identify what colors those are and perhaps make them 0.5 or 0.9. Let's cancel and cancel. And I'm going to go to my layer properties to identify what those layers are. Starting from the bottom, that's number 70 for fixtures. And then 200 for furniture. So fixture and furniture are 200. And then casework needs to be slightly darker, but I need to remember that number, 234. So 70 and 200 needs to be slightly darker than my door swing. And then my 234 needs to be slightly darker than the furniture and fixture. 70, 200, and 234. So let's go to print. Open up the CTB, and I'm going to go to color 70, 200. So I'll hold my control key so I can select them both at the same time. That's 200, and just to verify, 70 is also still selected. And the color is black, that's good. The line type is as object. The line weight is what I'm interested in, and I'll try this to be at 0.5 first. And I need the color 234 for the casework. And I'll assign this one to be the 0.9. Save and close. And I'm going to go in here and do a test. Okay, Control P. And let's take a look at the preview. And we'll zoom in here and see what's going on. Okay, it looks like my casework can go a little bit darker. I'm happy with this line weight here from my furniture. Casework needs to go darker, and we should be good to go. Escape. Go back to the settings. Color 234. We'll bump it up slightly more. We'll make it 1.3. Save and close. And let's go to a preview. That looks much better. And now we are ready to plot this. In addition to plotting the construction plan and submit those via Canvas.